Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, for the opportunity to make my maiden speech to this House during this debate on making Britain a clean energy superpower. And my congratulations, Madam Deputy Speaker, on your elevation. And it's a privilege to follow the Honourable Member for Aberdeenshire North and Moray East, who always speaks in this House with such great eloquence and passion. Can I also say what a privilege it is to speak in this debate led by our Energy Minister, and I offer him my warmest of congratulations as he takes up his position today in this House, and I wish him well, as I'm sure we all do. I recognise the great honour bestowed upon all of us to be in this House, and how proud and fortunate I am to represent my constituency of West Dunbartonshire. My constituency contains three very distinct communities, the Vale of Leven and the towns of Dumbarton and Clydebank, the latter of which is my hometown. I have lived in Clydebank with my family all of my life, and I pledge to work tirelessly in this place for all of my fellow residents. Madam Deputy Speaker, my constituency of West Dunbartonshire can best be described as stretching from the banks of the River Clyde to the shores of Loch Lomond, from industrial Clydeside to the gateway to the Highlands. I therefore can boast of the unrivalled natural beauty of Loch Lomond and Dumbarton Castle, one of Scotland's royal castles. The town of Dumbarton is the ancient capital of Strathclyde, granted royal borough status by Alexander II in 1222, and it was home to Denny's shipyard, which built the Cutty Sark. The Vale of Leven is renowned for its turkey red, dyed and printed cottons exported across the globe. Singer's factory in my hometown, where my late father worked, made the famous sewing machines, and there was a time last century where virtually every home in our land possessed a Singer's sewing machine. Clydebank is synonymous with John Brown's shipyard, where the Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mary, the QE2 and the Royal Yacht Britannia were built, a history we are rightly proud of. However, in doing so, we gained, Madam Speaker, an unwanted legacy, the European hotspot for asbestos-related industrial illness and death. Madam Deputy Speaker, it is on this cause, amongst countless others, that I wish to pay tribute to my predecessor, Martin Docherty Hughes. Martin was a powerful advocate in this place in the pursuit of truth and justice for the victims of asbestos-related industrial death and for their families in the fight for fair compensation. I know how closely he worked with the Clydebank Asbestos Group, and it is now incumbent upon me to pick up that baton. Martin Docherty Hughes conducted himself with great dignity both before and after the general election, and I wish to thank him for his 9 years of service and the generosity and courtesy he extended to me throughout, and I wish him the very best with his future endeavours. The great honour of representing West Dunbartonshire is emphasised yet further when I reflect upon my other predecessors who served with great distinction in this House, including Gemma Doyle and my great friend Tony Worthington, member for the former Clydebank and Mulgai. It's truly humbling to follow them and, of course, the Lord Speaker, Lord McFall of Alcluth, now in the other place, but renowned not least for his chairmanship of the Treasury Committee. Now, many of the great industries of the Clyde are sadly gone, consigned to history, and whilst I'm rightly proud as a bankie of our history, it is to our future that I look. I was elected by my fellow constituents to deliver change, and I am determined to do that and play my part in ensuring that all of the communities across West Dunbartonshire can look forward to a dynamic and prosperous future. The work of regeneration of the Clydeside and town centres of Clydebank, Dumbarton and the Vale of Leven will be my priority. This government has the ambition to grow the economy, make work pay, create jobs and new employment opportunities for our young people, and I have great confidence in the abilities of the youth of West Dunbartonshire, matching their ambitions by providing them with the same life opportunities as children from any other constituency across this great nation of ours will be my driving mission. I also pledged during the election campaign to fight to ensure that everyone in my constituency had access to that very basic of rights, a safe, warm and affordable home. My local authority of Western Bartonshire declared a housing emergency in May of this year, amid unprecedented pressures on the ability to meet the needs of those in social housing or seeking a council property. Now, I welcome my government's ambition to unlock the barriers to building more homes, but it's essential that they are affordable to tackle that injustice and insecurity. That's why we campaigned for a publicly owned GB energy company headquartered in Scotland. Therefore, it's particularly satisfying for me to be making my maiden speech during this debate. GB Energy will cut bills in Western Bartonshire, deliver energy security and put Scotland at the forefront of the clean energy revolution. Publicly owned, it will utilise our extraordinary natural resources. Which brings me back to the natural resources of the River Clyde. The yards may have gone, but the future is now with clean energy. On the site of the former John Brown shipyard I referred this House to earlier is now the Western Bartonshire Energy Centre. It's a groundbreaking project featuring Scotland's largest water source heat pump installation, taking water from the River Clyde and using it to generate heat. This publicly owned district heating system is truly groundbreaking, helping Western Bartonshire to transition towards a net zero future, but crucially also allowing us to address the fuel poverty of my fellow residents. And I will be delighted to hopefully welcome the Minister to visit the centre in the very near future. Madam Deputy Speaker, in taking my place in this House, I stepped away from 25 years of appearing on a daily basis in courts throughout Scotland. As a solicitor, I represented some of the most vulnerable members of our society. As I step away from the profession to take my seat in this House, I do so with a heavy heart. However, I leave behind a demoralised profession, ignored by successive previous governments who failed to recognise that a properly funded legal aid scheme is the bedrock of a fair society. My experience is with the Scottish courts, but I understand south of the border the system is under similar peril. I am sure that this House will recognise that upholding, respecting and promoting the rule of law requires ensuring access to justice, fair representation and the widening of the scope of legal aid eligibility, and also recognising that the courts are as vital a public asset and as much of a foundation stone of society as schools, social services and hospitals. I also leave 21 years of unbroken service to local government as a councillor at Western Bartonshire. Local government is on its knees, starved of vital funding, the last of the low-hanging fruit long since picked. Frontline services are now under serious threat, and I wish this House to recognise those across all political parties in public office at local government level and all the highly dedicated staff who share the same desire as we all do across this House to advance the well-being of our local communities, and they deserve our greater support. And Madam Deputy Speaker, my constituency is supported in this endeavour by a wealth of local charities and community organisations. As Provost of Western Bartonshire, I gained unique insight into this vital support chain from groups such as Mentor Scotland, providing mental health support, and also the Men's Shed, or local not-for-profit trusts such as Flourishing Faithfully, Bags Full of Love, Duntoker Village Hall, Antonine Sports and the Skylark 9 Recovery Trust, or the countless faith groups across my constituency providing food banks and shelter. They truly are the best of our society. Madam Deputy Speaker, in conclusion, I cannot finish my maiden speech without recognising the NHS and all its staff. The NHS is in my DNA. My mother a nurse and a midwife, and in particular I wish to thank the staff at the Beatson Hospital in Glasgow. The NHS saved my life back in 2007 when I battled leukaemia. I am fortunate to be in this House, and I will not waste this opportunity to help save our NHS and to ensure that this government improves our National Health Service, a service for all, providing care on the basis of need, regardless of ability to pay. Madam Deputy Speaker, this son of a factory worker and NHS nurse, husband to Alison, father to Tom and Peter, gives this House a solemn undertaking that no matter how long or short my time in this place may be, my defining mission will be to fight for a fairer society for my constituents of Western Bartonshire and be relentless in my duty to serve their interests. Thank you.